Hey guys, I follow a YouTuber that usually concentrates on retro gaming and sometimes horror movie reviews. And there's a really interesting development going on right now where his annual Halloween retrospective of movie reviews was found out to be plagiarized for at least two of the 31 videos that he had planned to air. And people do dumb shit all the time, and I'm not necessarily fascinated by the act itself, but what I do find fascinating is the reaction to it, because for the most part, this has really offended a lot of the fans. They believe that plagiarism in this case is it's just the antithesis of what a YouTuber should do. It negates the idea of putting your personal self in the work, and it directly cops someone else's hard work. And I understand all of those elements, but I often wonder why this kind of attitude is not prevalent in the music scene, where plagiarism runs rampant. Why is it that every modern metal band can play the same sweep arpeggio in every song, and no one calls it out for being the same exact arrangement of notes? It's there because it has to be there, because it's one of those tickings of the box that you need for a modern metal release. So unless the fans get that, they're going to be pissed off, and unless it sounds familiar to them, they're going to be even more so. But why is that not considered plagiarism? Why don't we look at the bands that do that and say, hey, this was done by this band who did it by this band, and then it was, it goes further upstream, and then you end up realizing how much everyone rips off everybody, but no one really cares in the metal scene. And this is just a theory about why the interpretation of plagiarism in either instance is different, and why the rationale is different. I think that for most entertainment, people don't put themselves in the equation, and they look to the creator as someone that's there to entertain them with effort. And in this case, with this YouTuber that plagiarized someone else, I think that a lot of the people that are sharpening their pitchforks aren't doing so because they are imagining themselves as someone that makes films or makes reviews or any of that. So it's easy to be like, well, you fucked up. This is not your hard work. This is someone else's work. I think it's the lowest of the low. Whereas in the metal scene, it's pretty much impossible to listen to metal without imagining yourself doing it and eventually doing it yourself. It's a genre that creates musicians. If you flock to this genre, you're going to be bombarded by top-notch musicianship. Not necessarily top-notch songwriting, but you will be bombarded by top-notch musicianship. And what comes with that is the goal presented to you is if you watch someone play, the goal is presented to you. You can see what they're doing. You can see the amount of effort it takes, and it's achievable. You can immediately click off of the video of them playing and look at a video of how to play. Whereas if you are looking at someone that makes movies on YouTube or reviews or whatever, there is no how-to that is readily accessible, or if it is, it's not as obviously apparent. If you watch someone play guitar, you can see immediately what you have to do. If you watch someone presenting a review to you, you don't see the setup of the cameras, you don't see the setup of all of it, you don't see the editing, you don't see any of that, you just see the final product, so you can't identify with the work that goes into it. However, it's totally different with music and metal now, especially now that the illusion is taken away by having everyone post their playthroughs online. You're just opening the gates for people that don't have a creative headspace to pollute your genre with mimicry. And that's a problem that I don't think anyone is really noticing. But if you look at what's happening in modern metal, you see all the plagiarism there clear as day. You see all the same riffs being played, all the same sweep arpeggios, the same exact song structure, the same exact insistence on the breakdown. It's all there, but no one cares because they have analyzed the means to get there, the means to present what you need to present to be part of that crowd is the box ticking. You have to have those elements. And when you make it personal by saying like, oh, I watched this metal guy, I want to do what he's doing, when you put yourself in those shoes, you no longer can be objective to the point of like, that person plagiarized and that's fucked up. Now you're like, well, that person plagiarized and I'm also trying to be a creator, so I could see why they did it. And I could see why I would do it, because I'm only in this to get the likes anyway. So whatever it takes to get there. And like I said, this is just a theory, but I find it really interesting that right now we have a channel that's kind of in danger, a very, very popular channel that's kind of in danger because of the plagiarism going on, whereas no one cares about it in metal. And, riffs have been plagiarized in metal long before the modern metal movement, but now that every band is a carbon copy of the next one, it's way worse than it's ever been. You could have said in the late 90s this band sounds like Cannibal Corpse, but you could still put on Cannibal Corpse and then put whatever band you're talking about on and immediately tell the difference. The style might be the same, but the melodic choices, the song structuring are not going to be the same. Now it's all the same, but no one cares about the plagiarism. No one really cares. And I think it's because of the idea that every metal fan is putting themselves in the artist's shoes. And despite the fact that I'm a musician myself, when I seek to listen to a band, I don't want to find myself in the band. I want to learn about who the band is. I want to have a new avenue presented to me. I don't want to be excited by my own realities coming true in another artist. I want to have other doors presented to me because that's what's interesting in life. That's what's fascinating in life, not myself. I have this very limited worldview, and I really want to hear what everyone else is capable of. I want to hear how they got to where they're at and where they're going in the future, and I want the music they're presenting to me to be a portal into the unknown. And that's not where modern music is heading, not where modern metal is heading, and the plagiarism is reigning supreme. And it's because people want to find themselves in other artists instead of finding the unknown. And when you are seeking to just be entertained and not have that personal stake in it, you're more objective, and you're not seeking to find yourself in it. You're not going to open up a film review and look for yourself. You're going to look to be entertained. And there's so much more to music than entertainment, but that idea that you could separate your ego from it is rapidly withering away. And I think that this highlight on plagiarism right now that's going on is really showcasing that. So that's about all I have to say about that. I just think it's kind of a fascinating topic, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out. But I do think that something needs to change in terms of how modern metal is created, and we need to strip away what's going on with all the plagiarism and find those unique players and give them the voice, give them the pulpit so that they can broadcast what they need to do instead of letting everyone have the forum. Because when you let everyone have the forum, they all become one unified mess of a voice, and that's what we need to avoid in metal. All right, well, thank you for listening.